I mean, you could fix it up so that no one would know the difference.
That would be murder, wouldn't it, Lieutenant?
Yes, it certainly would, sure. Because that would explain why Miss Martin was so bothered after the operation, and it would explain why she wanted to see the chemist at the company that made the suture. That's murder. That certainly is, no question about it. What's so funny?
Excuse me, Lieutenant. I had to play it as though you were serious. You don't really believe all those foolish things you say, do you?
I believe you killed Sharon Martin, and I believe you're trying to kill Dr. Heidemann.
Lieutenant Columbo, you're remarkable. You have intelligence. You have perception. You have great tenacity. You've got everything except proof.
Hello, Columbo fans, and welcome to the latest episode of the Columbo Confab podcast. This is Sean.
And Steve.
And this very special of the Columbo Confab podcast is brought to you by Mason and Clark Medical Supplies. Is it Mason and Clark? It's M&C.
Yeah, I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah. Sutures you could die for.
Oh.
How about that? Yeah.
Anyway, they come in an assortment of colors.
Yeah, if you if you have a topical wound, you can have fluorescent green. Impress your friends.
So I got a question about sutures. Like when you have a cut, let's say you've got a nasty gash on your hand, or someone cut you at the bar and you've got a nice cut on your cheek. When they use stitches, that's the same as sutures, right? Those are the same thing?
I think so. But why don't they use dissolving suture for that so you don't have to go back to the doctor and get the stitches removed?
Cut out, right. Well, there's different types, you see.
Yeah.
I learned from this episode, to me, I learned more...
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're talking about A Stitch in Crime, everybody.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
For those of you that
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Starring Leonard Nimoy. Or is it
Leonard Nimoy, yes. Yeah. As opposed to the Commodore's Final Salute, or whatever that one was, where we learned about boating. No, yeah, it was. That was the one we learned about boating. Sailing and yachting, and that was boring as hell. This one, I actually learned something, and I was really fascinated by it.
Yes, I agree. I knew nothing about sutures. Yeah, and I didn't know that dissolving sutures was a thing. And when you think about it, it's an extremely handy thing to have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And they feel differently. So, okay. Yeah. So, not feel differently.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So,
I like it when I learn something.
Exactly. It makes the episode all more delicious, doesn't it? So, why don't you take it away? What happens here in the beginning here, sir?
Well, let's first talk about the star, the murderer, the co-star, Leonard Nimoy. Not Nimoy. So I thought he was wonderful in this, and I love the fact that some of these Columbo episodes do pull in from other TV shows like Star Trek. Obviously, I immediately thought of William Shatner in those two episodes where I cannot think of the Lucerne one. What was that?
Fade into Murder.
Come on, you're the expert.
Fade into Murder. Fade into Murder. And
Fade into Murder. And then what was the one where he's the radio?
Butterfly and Shades of Grey.
Yes, that's right. Butterfly. Yeah. So those were great. Then we also had, in the first one with Shatner, we had the one that played the Russian first officer on Star Trek.
Walter Koenig.
I can't think of his name.
Walter Koenig.
Walter Koenig, yes. So I like that. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And of course, Leonard Nimoy was just perfect. I thought. I know I'm kind of showing my hand early on this, but I thought, what a fantastic actor, and I thought it was beautiful. And I think it was neat to see him play something else besides Spock.
Oh yeah, I know that he's been in other things. The only thing that I can think off the top of my head is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. but he's been in other things. I just can't think of what they are besides that. But when I look at him, I can't help but see pointed ears, even though he's not wearing the prosthetics. He always will look like he has got pointed ears to me. And he's not the only one from a TV show in this. I mean, everybody in this isn't a TV show, obviously, but Grandpa Walton is in it.
Yeah. Grandpa who?
Grandpa Walton from the Waltons.
Oh, I never watched that.
You don't. Do you at least know what it is? I mean,
I've heard of the show, but I've never watched the Waltons.
You know, like at the end, it's
like a Christian family that lived out on a farm or something.
Yeah, and well, he was the grandpa, and he plays Dr. Heidemann. His name is Will Geer.
So not Grandpa from the Munsters, because that
would be a great Columbo murderer.
Yes, it would. He's got to be dead now.
He is. Oh yeah, he lasted longer than all of them. Well, aside from the boy, whose name I can't.
Right. Yeah, he's still around.
Yeah. Edmund
Glenn. We're talking about Columbo, not the Munsters or the Waltons.
Yeah, that'll be on a future podcast when we have our Waltons podcast.
No, you're gonna have to find a new co-host for that one.
I'll post signs down at the church.
Is that the one with the son who had the mole on his face?
The guy from the TV show It. He was in It.
Really?
Yeah, he played Bill Denbrough. Do you remember that?
No, it's been a long time since I've seen that show, which was good. I just don't remember it very well.
Yeah, I don't think you want to revisit
I just remember... Okay, we're stopping. Okay, we're talking about Columbo. John, you're purposely distracting me.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
let's talk about Columbo.
So in A Stitch in Crime, which I love the title of that, by the way, we start off with an ambulance that's rushing down the streets of L.A. We find out is in the back of the ambulance Dr. Heidemann. Now he's obviously a doctor, but he's I guess kind of a heart surgeon. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing because his team works on like valve replacements, and I guess it was still early on for that kind of procedure, because they were doing they were working on a medicine that would help with rejection issues, which I thought was really cool. So he had some kind of, I don't know, he had a heart attack or something, so they were rushing him to the hospital, and I thought it was hilarious that they showed the ER that they were rushing him into in the waiting room. I'm like, even though this thing takes place in 73, ER waiting rooms have not changed one flippin' bit. I mean, it's still like that.
Well, when they showed there's like a family of four,
and you're going to sit there for a good 5 hours.
They show a family of four sitting there, and I'm thinking, is this one of those immigration detention centers down on the border? It was like this family of four, two like little kids. The dad's got a big bandage on his head. Yeah.
The last time I went to an ER, Sean, I accidentally cut my hand open with a blade. It was an accident. It was not suicide. Just to let you know, because that sounds like something that would be more worse than it is. But anyways, I cut my hand with this large blade, and I went to the ER, and I mean, Sean, it was a huge wound. It was just gross. I had it wrapped up in like cotton white shirt, bleeding everywhere. And I think I was in the waiting room for a couple of hours, just sitting there waiting. It's horrible. It really is. I could have bled out and it wouldn't have mattered. But I didn't. I'm still here, thankfully.
Well, I'm sure if you passed out, you probably would have gotten in there very, you probably would have gotten in quick.
Maybe that's what I did wrong. Yeah. But anyways, so yes, so the ER was full of, and it was interesting because it was a lot of like immigrant families and stuff like that, which actually comes into play later with the roommate. But jumping ahead already, so
yeah. So they haul Dr. Heidemann in for surgery, which is a scene I cannot watch because there's blood in it, and I have that in common with Lieutenant Columbo.
You skirmish of that?
What?
I am too. I am as well. I do not like the sight of blood. That's not something I can handle.
Because they have
I totally.
they have like a dialysis looking machine with tubes, and the blood's going through the tubes, and I'm like, oh god, no, I can't.
Yes. Even though it was fake, it still bothered me. Gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah. The worst hospital scene ever, though, is in the movie The Exorcist when she has a spinal tap. That is the worst, and I could watch all of that movie except for that. You've never seen The Exorcist?
I've only seen bits of it.
Steve, I think I know what our next podcast has to be about now. It's got to be about like...
Make Steve watch stuff he doesn't want to see.
All right, sure. All right. So they patch up Dr. Heidemann, and there's a nurse, and her name is, like my mother, her name is Sharon.
Ah, yes, that's right.
And she is acting a little upset and suspicious, and she thinks there's something wrong with the suture that Dr. Barry Mayfield used to sew up lovable old Heidemann, as she
Well,
says.
yeah. Well, so let's rewind it a little bit, if you don't mind. So,
Take a shot. Steve said, let's rewind it a little bit.
So Dr. Heidemann is, I guess he's developing this new drug that will help with organ rejection. And there's I don't know if it's a competitor, another doctor, but he's in Germany, and he's interested in having Dr. Heidemann come over and them sharing data together. And of course, Leonard Nimoy, his character, Dr. Mayfield, wants full credit for this new medication, and he's not happy with that idea. Mm-hmm. And how he finds out, because this is all being kept behind him, or kept away from him, he reads a telegram that was sent to Dr. Heidemann, and saying we need to hook up and come over to Germany so we can share our notes.
But Heidemann doesn't say anything to Mayfield about it, which means I think it implies that Heidemann has plans to dump Mayfield.
Yes, yeah, that's the impression I got.
Yeah.
So he reads the telegram, and so I think that's what kind of prompts this murder. And of course, Nurse Sharon is like the head nurse for both of those doctors, and she's not very particular about Mayfield, but for Heidemann, she kind of dotes on him. I guess she kind of looks at him as a father figure. Mm-hmm. She's very caring, concerned about him. She probably works at that hospital for him. And we do find out later she's the kind of nurse that not in it for money. I didn't think that was a really well-paying profession, but she's more in just to help humanity and to help people. That's her goal in life.
I think that's still a pretty well-paying profession in real life, but apparently she didn't have
nurse.
She didn't, but a cardiology, like a surgeon nurse type. That isn't. They don't make a lot of money.
Oh, I don't know. I just always assumed nurses didn't make that much.
I think they do, but in here she obviously doesn't because they mention it, and also she has a roommate.
Right.
But I mean, I know that a social worker doesn't make a lot of money, but I would think that a nurse who's a cardiologist, well, she's not a cardiologist, she's a nurse. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, we find out she's not interested in money, and which kind of will eventually deter Columbo away from thinking that she's selling drugs. Mm-hmm. Which they don't say that specifically, but I think that leads to that. Because that's one of the distractions that Dr. Mayfield puts into place, that she's a drug dealer, which doesn't make sense if she's not interested in money.
But she is interested in sutures.
Yeah. During the surgery, I thought it was interesting on Dr. Heidemann that she seemed really distracted. She's watching Dr. Mayfield. I just want to call him Dr. Spock. But watching him do the surgery, and she's already suspicious of the guy. She's thinking he's going to do something bad, and so obviously the surgery went off fine. Everybody's congratulating him. It's going to be a healthy recovery,
or so they think.
Right, and so there's the scene where Dr. Mayfield is washing his hands at post surgery, and she finds a suture that's left over from the surgery on the floor. And then she realizes it's not the same suture that she brought into the surgery theater, or the what do you call that? I don't know what the technical name is.
Operating theater.
operating theater. That's it. So, yeah, she starts to put two and two together, and she calls our sponsor, Mac. What was it? What's it stand for again?
I don't know. It's the name and a name, like Mason and Cruddy,
Like
medical
Anderson or
supplies.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's her downfall because Mayfield is suspicious right off the bat. He sees her and listens to her that she's making a phone call, and he whacks her over the head with a tire iron in the parking lot. Not very nice. Yeah,
And takes stuff out of her purse, wearing really ugly gloves. In this scene, it's always bothered me that she goes up to her car. He's waiting there with a tire iron. He kills her, and we see him going through her purse, and they play like this, jingle, like it almost sounds like a Native American like.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
That always
very
bothered me.
70s.
Yeah, I'm like that music just seems so out of place. So. Columbo arrives on the scene immediately after. Well, not immediately after the murder, but the next scene is Columbo, the police at the crime scene
with an egg, with
an
a hard-boiled
yes.
egg, and he's knocking it on the car, and he's knocking it on the murder weapon on the tire iron. It's just,
and for all intents and purposes, he's hungover. It's what he seemed like to me. That's me when I'm hungover.
That's right. He's looking for coffee. He did not sleep well the night before. He's looking for coffee anywhere. No one's got coffee. I mean, it's like a running gag for the first, I would say, 25 minutes of the episode. He does not have coffee, and he's looking for coffee. Everybody's out of coffee. Poor guy. I mean, Columbo can pull off when his hair is disheveled like that. And he's got that 5 o'clock shadow.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like I feel every Monday morning.
Yeah, I fucking hate Monday mornings, usually because I'm up until 11 o'clock the night before drinking scotch. But, not this Monday morning. Anyway, yeah, so what'd you think about him cracking open his egg on the murder weapon? Was that funny, or was that, too much?
It's weird. It's funny. I'm surprised. Well, even one of the investigators, I think, was complaining because he was leaving shells in the murder scene. He was contaminating the murder scene.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, which I could see him not noticing that, but then I think the joke with him cracking it on murder weapon is a little bit much, because there's plenty of hard things.
It was overkill, huh?
Yeah, I thought that was overkill. A little funny, but mostly overkill. So then we cut back to Dr. Mayfield. He's hanging out in front of Sharon's apartment.
This bothers me. So
okay.
if someone was murdered, let's say, when do you think the body was found? Early in the morning when people were coming into work, right?
Yeah.
Let's say 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier. I would have sent a police officer over to her residence immediately.
That is absolutely right. Yes. Okay, so
we're talking about the next morning. I get the impression this is hours after the murder. I mean, I realize Dr. Mayfield can't go in immediately because the roommate is still there.
Right. Well, he waits outside for her to leave. She's on her way to work. And then after he ransacks the apartment, and I want to talk about that, he goes to the office and he talks about having a 10 o'clock surgery. So I think that he enters her apartment at about 8 o'clock.
That makes sense, yeah.
But they don't know. Yeah, I think that he would have gotten there a little bit before the police, but he would have had to time it quickly. But he wants to ransack the apartment to make it look like a drug addict was in there looking for stuff. And one thing in movies when they do this bothers the hell out of me. This doesn't make any difference to plot, but he did such a shitty job ransacking that apartment. It was like he just takes some pillow and he throws it. He takes all the cans that are obviously empty. You can hear them clutter off the table. He doesn't even look in the flour jars, which, by the way, is where they hide the drugs in another episode of Columbo. Yeah.
Good to know.
And, by the way, also, I know nobody cares, the furniture that was used, some of the furniture that was used in this episode, more than one set of furniture, was owned by my parents at one point or another. Specifically, the first time, the bar chairs, the wicker bar stools that are in Sharon's apartment.
That's neat.
Yeah. My parents
If your parents still had that, would you take them now and have them in your own home?
I hated them back then.
Like, that would be so cool.
They were out of style in the 80s and 90s when my parents had them in the bar that they set up in the basement. My father had an old shag carpet that was multiple colors, like orange and purple, and he had a bar.
Wow.
And he had those two, and they never entertained. They never had parties in the basement. I don't know why.
Was it like a tiki bar?
No, it was gross. It was just like a bar on wheels that had wood paneling on the side, and that's great. Anyway, so he does this really great job, and I say great.
I always think that from the point of view of the actor, because there's a lot of Columbo episodes where they go in and they kind of rough up the apartment or whatever. I can't think of all of them. I know that in the very first one, prescription murder happens, but it happens in multiple other episodes where they're trying to make it look like a burglary or something like that.
Suitable for framing is another one.
But I would think as an actor, it would be a blast to say, "Okay, Leonard Nimoy, you need to go in and just trash the place." I would have so much fun just knocking stuff off, pulling pillows and cushions out of couches and knocking things over. That would be so fun to me. I would do that.
There's this great meme on the internet of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. The old Universal movie. And it's just a montage of him taking stuff and throwing it or like hitting stuff. And the subtitles say, "Fuck this! Fuck this too!" And that's it. That's what they, Dr. Mid, fuck your fuzzy pillow. Fuck your cans. Fuck your seat cushion. So he plants the morphine underneath the sink.
Right.
No drug addict would look underneath the sink. And
well, you have to make it look hidden yet easily found.
Yes.
Right. So
that's absolutely yeah. So then he goes to work.
Right, he goes back to work, and then he gets the news over the phone that Sharon has been killed, and he's on the phone and he's playing with this clock. Now, I thought you just giggled there. I thought interesting that Columbo walks in without knocking, without any formal announcement or anything. He just opens the door.
Yeah.
That seemed odd, too.
And you know what? There was no sign on the door that said Dr. Barry Merrifield. Yet...
So you wouldn't know.
A sign magically appears by the end of the episode.
Oh, does it? I did not catch that.
I noticed that in the final scene, when they're in the office, the sign's up there. He probably said, somebody put a sign in this office so these idiots don't keep barging in.
Maybe. Well, maybe that's why, because Columbo was having trouble finding him.
Yeah.
And so maybe Dr. Mayfield was like, I need to get a sign on my door. So,
so Columbo basically, I think I'm going to say, and I think you're going to be in agreement, basically knows he's the killer probably about 20 seconds.
Yes, I was going to say, we like to discuss on this podcast, when does Columbo know? And I even highlighted this in my notes, that I think this is when suspicions are definitely raised. That, he even calls attention to the doctor. He says, "You must be a great surgeon." And Mayfield says something like, "Oh, yes, well, Dr. Heidelman wouldn't allow anybody else he didn't trust, blah, blah, blah. It's mutual respect." Something like that.
Yeah.
And Columbo's like, no, that's not what I mean at all. No, I mean the fact that you were able to concentrate on a phone call while winding your clock.
Yeah, just imagine, it was resetting the clock.
So he calls him out.
Could you imagine if this murder didn't occur on daylight savings time? He could have gotten away with it.
What?
What do you mean? Wasn't he setting the clock like an hour ahead or an hour back because of daylight savings time?
No, I think he was winding the clock.
Oh, I thought that he actually...
Because they used to do that back then.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I thought he took the face off and moved the arms.
He may have.
But he may also be winding it from the front like that, because my grandmother has a clock like that. Okay. And what's really great is they leave his office, they're walking down the hallway, and Columbo says, "Doc, I got this problem. I don't like to be in hospitals. I faint. Okay, I don't like to be around sickness." And he says, Is there anything I can take for that? And
he's looking for free medical advice. This is not the only free medical advice he's going to be seeking from Dr. Mayfield, by the way.
Yeah. Which is, it must be a pet peeve of a lot of doctors. So rather
yes, I would think so.
Rather than prescribing Xanax, Dr. Mayfield says, and I think this is a double meaning, you just have to stay out of hospitals as much as possible. In other words, stay far away from me.
The only foolproof way is to get around it is never visit a hospital.
Yeah.
And it's funny what you said about doctors getting a lot of questions like that. I have an uncle who he's retired now, but he was a family practitioner, and I would notice that whenever we had family gatherings, people would always come up to him and ask him questions about, oh, I have this pain here, or I'm not feeling well here. What does this mean? They would every family function.
Oh yeah,
family members would go up and start asking him questions, and I always made it a point that when I saw him, never to ask him any. Yeah. I'd always ask him about anything else I could think of, because I thought he must be really tired of people asking those questions.
Oh,
how annoying is that? I mean, you're a lawyer. You when you have family gatherings, they go, Sean, I need legal advice. Do they ever...
No, I don't get it from family members. My mom and dad asked me to draft their will, which I refused because I didn't know how. But I've had friends come to me with actually legitimate, like, oh my God, I've got trouble. Can you help me? And then I think I
actually asked you. I think I asked you for legal advice once, years ago.
I don't think so.
Oh well, I'm not going to discuss it over.
Okay.
Podcast. I did ask you for legal advice, and your professional opinion was, I think you need to find a lawyer who specializes.
That's probably what I said. But you get to learn stuff like you find out that one of your friends is getting a divorce months before anybody else does, or
how fun.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
You're fun at parties, aren't you? Yeah.
You're not supposed to talk about.
So speaking of annoying, we get to meet the roommate, Marcia.
Oh, God. Oh, she's a flake. My God.
Now, she, I forgot the term she used to describe herself, or like what kind of nurse she was, as opposed to what kind of nurse Sharon is, but something along the lines that Sharon was in it to help humanity, she's in it for the money.
Yeah, she works in a plastic surgeon's office in Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm.
Right, and she only helps out middle to upper class white people. While Sharon was more willing to help, the less fortunate.
Does she? I don't think she says white people.
Huh?
Though. I don't think she says white people.
I just assumed that. I mean, come on.
Okay.
We're talking 1970s.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to offend any white people that may be listening.
Yeah, we're not white.
Yeah, we're totally not white. Actually, I'm Asian and Steve is black. So.
Wow. I want to be Asian Pacific, not Asian, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh
geez.
No. So there is a shot. So Dr. Mayfield's going to have this cocktail party that night, which he says he couldn't cancel because it was just too late. But
no, that's the reason of the party. He got rid of Nurse Sharon. I mean,
that's what I thought.
That's the party.
He's like, gosh, Heideman's going to die. I got rid of Sharon. There's a panning shot that goes from Mayfield's patio over into the street, and we see Columbo's car go by. And I am not sure. I have to go back and look, but I could have swear that is the same shot that they use at the beginning of Make Me a Perfect Murder, where he gets in a car accident at the beginning and he hurts his neck.
You're right.
But
he's always walking around with it. Yeah.
I've never noticed that before until now, and now I really need to go back. Anyway, so he's having this cocktail party with a very friendly waitress or a maid, and he's starving.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love these scenes where Columbo. I mean, we get it. They don't pay police officers enough. Obviously, he's not getting medical benefits. He's not getting enough money to eat, except chili and hard-boiled eggs. That's all he can afford. But I love it when he shows up at these parties. He's like the what's the one we recently reviewed, where he's eating caviar and he's just shoving it in his face.
Mm-hmm.
Which one was that?
double negative. No, fuck. Double exposure. Double exposure.
Was that double exposure?
Yeah.
That's not the one with Dick Van Dyke, is it?
No. That's negative reaction, and I
yeah.
always get those names mixed up. Yeah, exactly.
But he's always eating. If there's food there, guaranteed, Peter Falk has like catered that stuff in.
Well, you gotta
he's gonna be eating it.
Hand it to the poor guy. He showed up early at the crime scene. He's exhausted. All he had to eat was like an egg or two. Then he says that he said he was at the office filling out paperwork. I guess he didn't have time to go to like McDonald's or something. So then he comes here, and he doesn't just have a piece of cheese or something. He fucking loads up with a huge plate of food. Like,
I love Peter Falk's ability. I guess we could say Columbo's ability to eat with a mouthful of food and talk coherently.
Yes.
I can't do that. He's shoving food in. He's talking like, well, what the strange thing is that I don't understand.
No, this actually.
Okay,
yes,
he didn't make
that scene.
that sound, but
he doesn't make a lot of noise eating at all, but he does it so well, and it's just so like. And by the way, also my parents owned the patio furniture that Dr. Mayfield has, the yellow patio furniture. Yes, we had that on our front porch in Chicago for about a year or two.
Are you sure your parents aren't killers?
No, I'm sure it's fine. And also, there's my favorite line in this is as they're going up to the patio to sit down and have a private conversation. Columbo says to him, excuse my appearance, I didn't have time to shave today.
That's how he normally looks.
Exactly, that's the point.
See, I would have thought the maid would have said, "Sir, I'm sorry, this is a private party. The homeless shelter is
because he looks
2 blocks down."
So he stuffs his mouth or stuffs his face, and then immediately he's got stomach issues and
he's got indigestion. Yeah. That's what you get when you're sucking in air, which we need to get into later. But sucking in air while you eat like that, gave himself indigestion.
But yeah.
And by the way, Columbo is consistently sick in this one. There's a couple episodes like that where, so Columbo is sneezing. He's got some kind of hangover going on.
He's got allergies.
He's just not well.
Yeah, and you know what? I really got to try this sometime. But when he goes to talk to Marcia, the roommate, after Dr. Mayfield convinces her that she thought of the ex-boyfriend Harry Alexander, she tells him that there's a perfect remedy, a home remedy for stuffy nose or sneezing attacks?
Sneezing. And I want to try this too. I wrote it down. Yeah.
So it's 7 sips of water. And then hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then it'll go away.
I don't believe it. I'm going to try it. I honestly don't believe that will work. But
I Googled it and found no substantial proof. Couldn't find anything. Somebody should send that to Snopes.
That is bizarre.
See, Snopes is going to report
it was on Columbo, so it has to be true. So at this point, Dr. Mayfield is not feeling the direct heat from Columbo, but I think he realizes Columbo's smart. He even says so to Dr. Heidemann that he's a smart police officer. I'm sure he's more than capable to solve the crime of Sharon's death. So I think he actually does think Columbo is capable. But he's got to direct Columbo away from him. So he decides he's going to call on Marcia, which he has her phone number and his address book.
How does he know her?
Right. At parties, I guess. That's the only thing I can think of. So he calls her on an impromptu date. This is after the party, because this literally takes place right after that scene with Columbo leaving the party.
Wait a minute, I did have a question about, because I thought it was the next day.
I don't think so, because Columbo says something. Oh, he's sneezing. So when Dr. Mayfield drops Marcia off, Columbo's hiding in the bushes, or it looks like he's hiding in the bushes.
Yeah.
and he sneezes, and it startles Marcia as she's walking back to her apartment after the date. And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's allergies, but I just had this crab cake," which is what he had at the party.
So Mayfield has these afternoon cocktail parties on a work day, goes and meets up with Marcia at the pier, drives her home. Yeah, it must be daylight savings time because it's still daylight out. Anyway, so Marcia is really into Dr. Mayfield. Did you notice this? I mean,
I think she's into anybody with money.
she
I like how she tries to get him to come back to her place.
Yes. Well, she's like, "So what do you want to do now?" "Well, I think I'll drive you home." "Oh, okay."
"Yeah, take you home?" And she goes, "Would you like to come back for a cocktail?" And he goes, "No, I really can't." I mean, she's just getting turned down left and right. Poor Marcia.
It's really good. She may be my favorite character in this episode, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the beginning, she's like, when Columbo's interviewing her for the first time, she's like one of those people that just keeps talking and keeps talking. And he's obviously annoyed. He's not even paying attention to her anymore. Uh-huh. And she's just one of those people that it's just too much information. Just, like, you wouldn't want to be stuck with somebody like that at a dinner party.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, Sharon's probably glad to be
Marcia.
dead because she doesn't have to listen to Marcia and her problems anymore. But anyway,
right.
So
yeah. What's that Dr. Mayfield like? Is he single? Does he have a sneezing issue? Because I got a homemade remedy for that.
Oh, you can see her, like, coming home with all her men problems.
So the date on...
Yeah.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a sneezing problem, let us know if you've used that. I would love to know that, because I don't normally have sneezing fits. So, but if anybody's tried that, I would love to hear if that actually worked for you. The 7 sips of water with holding your breath for 4. So.
All right. So then what happens?
Oh, you're relying on me. Okay. So Columbo then goes Columbo finally gets to meet Dr. Heidemann, and there's finally an introduction, and that's when Mayfield, I guess, finds out that Columbo's in the hospital and interrupts, comes into the room, tells him, "You need to leave. He's my patient. Got to leave him alone." So a little suspicious, and I even think, I can't remember if it's this scene or the next where Mayfield says something like, "I'm going to call your superiors if you call again. You're being disruptive," which is always a big no-no in these Columbo episodes. You don't ever threaten Columbo with going to a superior, because that's pretty much the nail in the coffin of that you're guilty as hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Columbo goes to visit Harry Alexander. Harry Alexander.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah. Harry Alexander is played by a gentleman named Jared Martin, who just died a year ago, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wrote down the names of people as usual.
What else has he been in? Because
he looked really familiar to me, but he has been in nothing that I have seen, all old TV shows. He was in Dallas for a while, apparently, for a couple seasons.
I can see him as a soap star. I can see that.
But, yeah, Jared Martin, and he works at a petting zoo.
Yes.
Now,
and he's concerned about keeping that job. Oh, God.
But he has his own apartment. Or does he live in a hotel? I'm not sure. We learn Columbo goes to talk to him. Now, this is important. I never thought this was important until I saw something else later on. He asks her about Sharon Martin, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't seen her in 6 months. She broke up with me because she thought it would be unhealthy because I'm a substitute for like a." She thought that.
I didn't quite understand.
Yeah,
I didn't understand that reason, to be quite honest.
Well, he had just got out of rehab from drugs. And he tells Columbo, "Please don't tell my boss because he'll fire me if he found out that I was on drugs."
Sure, yeah, kids.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But what drove me crazy the most about this scene,
okay, What's that?
Was that, and if you watch it again, you'll notice it, and you'll never be able to watch the scene again without noticing it. Mm-hmm. In the background noise is the continuous 3 seconds on a loop.
Oh,
and
no, I didn't notice that.
It drives me fucking nuts.
So like Barn Animal soundtrack number 1.
It's kids talking and also some barn noises. Yes.
Oh.
And it's not like it's like 15 seconds and then on repeat. It's literally 3 seconds. So you're constantly hearing the same thing.
I did not notice that. You probably have ruined it for me.
Yeah. Well, sorry, you're never.
And all the listeners to this podcast.
You're gonna die without ever having to watch that again. Sorry. So it can't be Harry because, okay, so...
Well, no, he just believes Harry. Like, Columbo, I think one of the things about Columbo is he's a good judge of character.
Right.
And Harry is just not the murderer. He's just doesn't fit that.
Right. Like the golf pro in Death Lends a Hand or the widow in Double Exposure.
Yes.
Like these people just like... Yeah, I knew them. Blah blah blah.
People. Yeah. It's almost like because it's true. The murderer has kind of delivered the person who should be the murderer on a silver platter to Columbo. Like here he is. Everything points to this one person, and that never convinces Columbo because of the episodes you mentioned there. So yeah, even though everything points to Harry. I guess that's why Columbo follows up, but just doesn't feel this is not the guy.
Yeah. So he tells that
accurately so. Yeah.
He goes back to visit Dr. Mayfield yet again, and Dr. Mayfield is getting more. Well, Dr. Mayfield never really shows his irritation. You think he is irritated, but he's got this room full of monkeys and bunnies. And I wrote down. I know that they're doing research, but I think they're at the point where, Mayfield wanted to release the study, Heidemann didn't. But number one, shouldn't they be beyond the monkeys and bunnies? And number two, is it legal to keep a bunch of monkeys and bunnies in a hospital? Like, shouldn't it be a research lab instead? And number three, I think these are the same monkeys and bunnies that they used in the George Hamilton episode that we haven't seen yet. So,
I don't know that one. I don't know. Could be the same animal wrangler. Yeah, maybe.
So, when they're not bringing monkeys and bunnies around to birthday parties, they.
Yeah, I would be concerned with some kind of outbreak, like the movie Outbreak. It's the same damn monkey.
Oh God! Again with the fucking monkeys. Yeah,
I hate monkeys. Monkeys are evil.
I really don't like monkeys either. When I was a kid, I liked the show The Monkeys, but
You're right. Okay. Yeah.
That was
I liked their music when I was a teenager, but the monkeys are just plain evil. They're just, they throw their poo at you. They'll rip your face off. Which
I like spider monkeys. I like spider monkeys. Or gibbons are pretty cute. They're like monkeys. But I don't trust
Harambe.
chimps. Yeah. I don't trust.
He'll beat up your little kid. I'm kidding. We're gonna lose viewers.
Yeah, there goes our
not viewers, listeners.
There goes our Jane Goodall contingent.
Mm-hmm.
So what Dr. Heidemann decides is he's going to load up with the morphine. Wait for Harry Alexander in his little one-room apartment there.
Oh, yes. I felt so bad for this guy.
Okay.
This poor dude has just had a rough life. He's just trying to make the best of it. He was interested in this one nurse. It lasted a short time.
And he's
now
still...
He's gonna get killed. He's going to be...
Did you notice he has a console TV in his living room or hotel or whatever? Her picture is still on the TV. He's got a picture
I did.
Of her
I did notice that. He still loves her. Oh, well, he's going to be joining her soon, ladies and gentlemen.
So he pumps him full of morphine, and then they do something that I really don't think was needed and was stupid. And I want to get your thought about this because we've talked about some of the groovy sequences that they have on Columbo, like the beginning of Ransom for the Dead Man, or in Death Lends a Hand, where everything's in the reflection of the glasses. We have the the groovy hallucination death scene. Do you remember this? He wakes up. Of course. From his morphine-induced coma.
He's been chloroformed first, so I think he wakes up from that, and the morphine is about to kick in.
Yeah,
is kicking in.
He's walking around outside, and then he falls down the stairs and dead. We have several jump cuts, close up to show that he's dead. But if their morphine was enough to kill him, wouldn't he have just died right there on the floor of the room?
Yeah, and I'm thinking. Now I realize that when you're in that kind of situation, you're not thinking clearly. But if I think the best thing he could have done was got to a pad and paper, or a pad and pencil, and wrote down something that he was attacked, or I don't know.
Or what about pick up a phone and call?
Yeah, call. Yeah, who knows? I'm surprised that Mayfield didn't hang around for that, but I guess he had to get out of Dodge.
Yeah. So, but there's a good clue here, and that is that the needle mark was in his left arm.
Yes.
And Columbo noticed that he was left-handed, which
yeah.
So if you ever try to go home, kids. Try to inject heroin if you're right-handed into your right arm. Doesn't work.
Yeah, let me try that tonight.
Yeah, go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try it. Yeah, try that after you induce a sneezing attack and do the sip of water thing.
Okay, so we've gotten to the point in my notes where Columbo goes back and he now realizes what MAC stands for. Earlier in the episode, Sharon had wrote down MAC 8:00 a.m. and we don't know who that reference is. And we all think it's a guy, but we find out. And here in my notes it says Marcus and Carl Medical Supply. So that's what MAC stands for.
I have a problem with that. So
this one to say clear. Oh.
So let's say that you're going to write
Why?
down.
What's your problem?
Here's my problem. Let's say you're going to write down an abbreviation of that name. Marcus and Carl Carlson. You said.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be M and
I put Marcus and Carl.
M and C, not MAC, capital M, capital A, capital C. I
probably would have done the and sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like an E with a line down the middle.
Exactly. See? This whole thing is shit. It's shit. It's shit.
If only Sharon had thought that through.
Well, if only Dr. Mayfield had taken it out of her fucking purse with her keys. So go ahead.
So Columbo goes, and I guess he's trying to find records of what, why Marcia would have called this company, and so Columbo talks to some clerk, I guess. I'm not real sure who this guy is, and they just start discussing sutures, and that's when Columbo gets keyed off about the different types of sutures. And he takes him to another operation theater, with the kind where you can view from above. Mm-hmm. Would you ever attend one of those?
Mm-mm. No, I'm lying. I would.
I think I would be curious. Like I would want to just one time, but I probably couldn't. I'd probably be like Columbo, just have my hand up by my face. Yeah. Turning away, I don't know if I can handle it, but
I think I could do it if it wasn't heart surgery or brain surgery. Oh. There's something about surgery in those two parts of the body that freaks me out. If it was like a appendectomy, I think I could watch it.
What's that?
When they remove your appendix when you have appendicitis. Mm-hmm. But heart and brain just freak me out. I can't. I'm gonna pass out thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you ever go though, make sure you bring a box of Junior Mints.
Jesus Christ.
I guess you know what I'm referencing now.
Seinfeld, of course. Yes. I thought they were milk. It's Junior Mints. It's Junior Mints. It's not Milk Duds. Okay.
Yeah, I would think that glass would be enclosed, so you couldn't drop things like that.
Or spit,
into an open wound, not wound, open
chest cavity. Yeah. So then what happens? I think we need to talk about this scene.
Well, I think also it's important to note that, I'm sorry. I want to stop.
It's okay.
Who we should have had on tonight that would help us with all these technical terms?
Who?
Amanda Cole.
Okay. All right.
Because she's a nurse,
Yeah.
so she would know all about this stuff.
I don't think she listens to this though, because she doesn't know what the hell. She never watches this.
No, and for listeners, that was a regular listener, and she did, I think, a guest co-host once at least, maybe twice, on our old podcast. But anyways, she's a nurse, and she would know all about everything we're talking about and clarify everything for us. But anyways, but this is when Columbo finds out everything about the sutures, and I think this is when he's got it. He knows how Mayfield has done the murder, or why the murder happened, and why it leads back to Heidemann, Dr. Heidemann. So I think at this point, when he finds out about the sutures, he's put everything together. The puzzles have fallen into place, as he said. Pick it up. I'm rambling.
So that's when he's talking to Dr. Mayfield in the monkey room. They walk down the hallway. They go to Mayfield's office, and then Mayfield proceeds to laugh in his face. Well,
yes. Oh, I love this scene. This is my favorite scene. Yes.
And Mayfield has kept his cool this whole time. He really is kept his cool. He has not lost his temper. He has not gone Robert Culp on Columbo. The way that he handles it is he just laughs, and it's this haughty Lord of the Manor laugh.
Yeah.
And Columbo gets pissed off.
Oh yeah.
And worse than when he gets pissed off at Milo Janis. I think he picks up the clock.
No, I thought it was a coffee jug.
Maybe it was. That sounds good too. Yeah, he picks it up and slams it down on top of the desk, and he says, "I think you killed Sharon Martin. I think you're trying to kill Dr. Heidemann, and if anything happens to Dr. Heidemann, I know that you did something to him in the surgery,
and you better take good care of him, or I."
And that's when Mayfield come back. I'm going to put it at the beginning of this episode, by the way. Mayfield says, well, you've got, Columbo, you're intelligent, you have tenacity, you're observant, you're everything, you have everything except proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is now at what we call balls to the wall. It's no more.
Doesn't happen in every Columbo episode, but there is, with this one and many others, where the murderer knows Columbo is onto them. It's without a shadow of doubt. There's no more playing games. There's no more trying to mislead Columbo. But it's almost like, I know you know, but you can't prove it.
Yeah.
They both understand, I am the murderer, but I can't do any more, and you can't do a thing about it.
Yeah.
And that's the scene.
Yeah, those are good scenes. And a recent one that comes to mind is Uneasy Lies the Crown with the dentist when they're at the bar at the horse what's it called?
Yes.
Horse race place? Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, so how are you going to prove this? What are you going to do? I can't do anything, sir. Yeah. I love those moments when there's just it's just like, I fucking know you did it. We're
not playing anymore. It's the real deal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to be, I'm not going to tiptoe around you until the end when I pull a rabbit out of a hat and prove that you did it. We're just going to, it's on, buddy.
Well, and then let's go, I would like to discuss Columbo getting mad. Mm-hmm. I think why this is my favorite scene in this whole episode, and typically whenever Columbo does get mad, and it's very, very rare that he does, and I can only think of 2 episodes off the top of my head right now, but it sells because it's so rare. It's not like, okay, every episode Columbo's going to lose his temper and accuse the murderer. No, it's very rare, but when it happens, it's so satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's satisfying is a really good word to say. A really good word you use. Exactly. So
what would you think? Do you like these
I
kind
do.
of scenes where Columbo basically calls him out and gets angry?
I do. There's only
says,
two.
I know you did it. I'm going to be watching you. You know, you're the prime suspect.
There's three, actually,
there's
that I
three.
can think of. There's this one, there's Milo Janis, and there's
Milo?
the girl in Prescription Murder, which I like to think that he really wasn't angry at her. He was just acting. But I don't like that scene because that would be very unlike him. So, but
I think in Prescription, I think that was just more him concentrating on the weakest link. Because she knew something, but even though she wasn't the murderer, but she was an accessory to it. But yeah.
But when I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later, but when you think about it, it's because Columbo has come to the realization that the person that he's dealing with is just a complete, terrible human being.
Yes. And Mayfield is that, yeah.
Yeah, he is a horrible, evil asshole. Just like Milo Janis kills one person and then drives another person to almost commit suicide. He doesn't do it with other murderers.
What's scary about a murderer like this? It's not just one person. It's not like I honestly can't think of anything off the top of my head at this moment, but it's not just that one murder. Like Catch Me If You Can. Oh no, what was the one? The one with the ants.
Try and Catch Me. Try and Catch Me.
Yes, thank you. Where it's a one-time murder. She has no intention to ever hurt anybody else. This guy, in order to cover up the potential of trying to murder one person, has killed two people, and he'll probably keep killing to have this cover. This guy's a psychopath,
and his motive for killing Heidemann is that he just wants credit for the I'd say he doesn't want to share the credit for this research that they've done for this drug.
That's the only reason, right?
Yeah, and so he develops this. He kills this poor woman, and then he kills this poor guy. Now, this got me to thinking, and I saw a post on Facebook about this a while back. Who is more evil, Dr. Barry Mayfield or Dale Kingston from Suitable for Framing? The man who murdered his uncle, framed his aunt, and then bludgeoned the woman who loved him and helped him with a rock.
Oh, jeez. Well,
so I really wondered. So this is what I did. Now, who do you think is more evil?
Oh my God. I don't know if I could say one's more evil than the other. That's pretty evil. Because you feel sorry if an innocent like Harry Alexander is killed, or the girlfriend and the other one, or the possible he kind of courts her even though he has no interest in her.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel how many innocents are killed? It's the same in this case, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your thought?
Well, I think it's Dale Kingston because first of all, it's uncle's side. He kills his uncle. That's not a real word. I stole that word from a movie. And he uses a woman who loves him and talks her into helping him kill his uncle. And then on top of that, he's going to frame his aunt, who's just a friendly old drunk. Now, Dr. Barry Mayfield is obviously an asshole and a psychopath, but the people that... he had to kill Sharon because she found out about Dr. Heidemann.
Right.
But killing Harry Alexander was probably easier because...
Well, it would have proven the story that it was drugs all along.
And also, he doesn't know Harry Alexander at all.
But you know what? If Harry had to go out, I'm sure that was the best way for him.
Well, he didn't even die.
He didn't die like a horrible death, get shot and bleed out. I mean, he died probably the best way he wanted to. He was on a high. He was on a unicorn, riding a rainbow into the sunset. I mean, that was probably the best death for that guy.
So I really wonder, these questions, they keep me up, and my wife, the poor thing, she can't sleep. So I went on Twitter, and I don't know if you know this, but if you have a Twitter account, you can have a poll on Twitter. So I made a poll for people to vote on. Who's more evil, Dale Kingston or Dr. Barry Mayfield? 15 people voted. I was so pleased that 15 people
Wow.
voted. I thought like 3 people were going to vote. And
Including yourself.
I didn't vote, but I won. It was 60-40 for Dale Kingston as being more evil. So
Okay, there you go.
I got to
How could you incriminate your own or murder your own family? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can kind of
that's
see that.
horrible.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
And we don't even know anything about his uncle. His uncle was just this nice-looking old man who plays the piano, and then walks in, and and the woman who loved you and helped you, and not only does he murder her, but he bashes her head in with a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cold.
all for an art collection.
So let's go back to this episode.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
Dr. Mayfield puts, I guess he puts some kind of poison or something into Heideman's medication for the day.
Yeah. Now,
There's been so many opportunities for Mayfield to get caught. He goes to the apartment. He's very suspicious looking already. He does the poison here. He could have been caught by a nurse easily. It actually kind of does. I'm surprised that a nurse would not have gone to Columbo and goes, he was hovering around the medicine for the patients. It was very suspicious. I thought that was a little.
well, how is she going to know? He's a doctor. He works there. He's checking it out. She doesn't suspect him of
But she's
anything.
going to be hearing. I'm sure she'll hear eventually. If Heidemann was to die, I mean, I'm sure there'd be there's suspicion that whatever. But
I'm just kind of curious what he put in the medicine to make sure that Heidemann had a heart attack. I don't know if there is such a Well, wait, whoa. There is another episode that we haven't covered where somebody induces a heart attack, but they inhale something. So, yeah, I don't know. So, he goes to operate in Heidemann, and we
right,
get
this is his opportunity because Columbus basically says if anything happens to Heidemann, and you use the wrong sutures on purpose because you could have dyed them. And he basically explains it out to Mayfield and says if anything happens to him and those sutures dissolve early and he dies, you're in trouble. So Mayfield's got to figure out a way to get back into surgery, remove those sutures, and replace them with the correct kind. And so that's what initiates this. So they go back into the operation theater, and they open them back up, and so Mayfield's able to do the switcheroo. He's able to switch out the sutures.
And the police come in at the last minute, just when they're barely sewing up Dr. Heidemann. They search...
I would think they couldn't do that because of germs or whatever. But.
Yeah, well, he does say, I know this is highly unorthodox, but I imagine you really could do that if this was a real thing. And they search the room. No sutures. All normal sutures. There's no sutures to be found. Okay. All right. So he goes back to Dr. Mayfield's office, who now has a name plaque on the door. And he says,
"Oh, wait.
okay.
Well, it's also state at the operation or after the surgery in the theater, Mayfield does lose his temper.
Oh, yeah. He pushes Columbo away. Yes.
Yeah. So it's the first time, besides the laughing, this is the first time we see his temper, which is actually an important plot point in this. But yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
So they go back to Mayfield's office, and Columbo says, "Well, I guess you got me. Congratulations." Takes off his his smock, and then leaves. And then we get a shot of Dr. Mayfield's face, apparently as he's receiving a blowjob. That's
okay.
He smiles, holds his head back, and then puts his hands behind his head, as if he's reclining in an office chair, receiving the best blowjob of his life.
Is that what you do when you're getting a blowjob, Sean? Because
No, I don't. No, I don't. But people in movies do.
oh,
Well, you know what? I maybe at once or twice I got a blowjob, and I did that. I mean, not got a blowjob, but
I'm
why
really
are we talking
I'm
about
really
this?
regretting that I asked you that now.
Why, Steve? What do you
How
do?
many
when you're
how
getting
many blowjobs out of 5 did you rate this? No, never mind. Yeah.
Can we hurry up? Can we change the subject now? Okay, so then Columbo comes barging back in. He says, "Oh, I know how you did it." Blah 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 blah. And then it turns out that what Mayfield did was plant the sutures on Columbo on his operating gown.
Yeah.
And there they are, still perfectly clean and normal and not dissolved
yeah, you think
at
they'd be all
all.
bloody or something.
And they should be partially dissolved, which they're not. And then we get a shot of Leonard Nimoy doing the eyebrow thing and cut to credits. Okay.
Yes. So, you ready for a review?
I'm ready for the review.
Okay. So, as our listeners know, we've developed a reputation of pulling weird numbers, or I pull weird numbers out of this. And you like to guess where I pulled it from first.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you guess.
I'm gonna go with the obvious here. I only really worked on one. 7 sips of water.
I knew you were gonna say that. Nope.
And not holding your breath for 4 seconds.
Nope.
Then I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Maybe 209, which I think might be room number somewhere. No.
Okay. So okay, let me stop you now. So I'm pulling this from the zip code off the night letter telegram.
Oh.
Now. So there's at the very beginning when Dr. Mayfield is reading that telegram, you can see the address, and there's a zip code on that address. You have to pause it, and I had to walk up to the screen on my TV screen to read it. But that zip code is 91601. So
91601.
So Sean, out of 91,601, how would you rate this?
I'm going to rate this 54,961.
Really? Why? What did you like?
This is a really highly regarded episode among Columbo
It is.
fans. It is quite good. Well, it's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. I think Nimoy is great in it. Peter Falk is great in it.
Yeah.
But I was going into it. I knew that I didn't like it, or not didn't like it.
Was it Marcia? Did Marcia turn you off?
It's not Marcia. I mean, there's good moments in this, but this is an episode that's a shorter one. You know, it's like an hour and 10 minutes total running time.
It feels short. Okay.
And I think it should have been longer, because I don't think there were enough good clues in here, and there were really only 3, and they were clues that I could have thought up myself. There's the puncture mark on Harry Alexander's arm, on the left arm. Mm-hmm. There's the clock clue, and there's
that kind of got dropped immediately. Yeah.
There's the fingerprint clue, which is the fact that there are no fingerprints in her apartment.
I'm surprised because he had her file or put away the morphine vials. Yeah. So I'm surprised. Yeah.
I don't know if they said that there were no fingerprints at all on those vials, or if there were nobody's fingerprints except for hers.
No, they said that the only thing that they found were smudge marks from gloves.
Okay, so her fingerprints should have been on those files, which they don't mention. Why would she handle those files without fingerprints, with gloves, if she was, dealing morphine? I think that this still does have some great moments. There's yours and my favorite scene where he loses his temper.
Yeah.
That is an extremely satisfying scene because Leonard Nimoy in this is just a pure fucking piece of shit. He is so going to hell. I mean, he's not in real life. Not in real life.
No, well, he's already dead.
He's dead.
Columbo News tonight. Yeah, Leonard Nimoy has passed.
Yeah, he died a while ago, and. But I also, it should have been long. There should have been a little bit more to this than there was. And
that sounds weird, though. You're giving it a low score because it was good, but it needed more.
No. My score is essentially 3 out of 5. Okay, yeah. I can't give it a 5 at all. but I don't walk away from it feeling completely satisfied that I've seen. And I think I have to be honest. I think part of it is because this is so highly regarded as one of the greats, and to me, it's not one of the greats. To me, other episodes are greater. I would have loved to see Leonard Nimoy come back as a murderer.
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him play somebody who loses his temper more often. And I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me, including you. So, what is it? What do you have?
Yeah, so you're right. I actually, it's funny on my news feed. I guess my search, when I do searches, it picked up that I like Columbo. So in my news feed, I'll get news on Columbo every so often, like the painting we discussed last time. So apparently there's some kind of official fan top 5 favorite Columbo episodes. Or it's actually top 10, but Columbo episodes for 2018. I don't know where this comes from, but
yes, it's from the Columbo File, the Australian fellow, or it might be a lady.
It is Columbo File.
Yeah.
So this particular episode, A Stitch in Crime, is number 5 out of the top 10 episodes. And I'm looking. Let's see. I'm kind of curious what the previous other 4 are. So then it goes. Now You See Him with Jack Cassidy. I don't think we reviewed that one yet.
No.
Number 3, Bye Bye Sky High. That's a good one.
Yeah.
We
haven't reviewed it in this podcast yet. What's number 2?
Number 2 is Murder by the Book. Now that is a great episode. Murder by the Book, another Jack Cassidy one. And then, number 1, I bet this won't surprise you, Any Old Port in a Storm.
Wait, I thought that Now You See Him is number 1.
Not according to this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said that. Okay, so it's Bye Bye Sky High IQ.
Number 4 is Now You See Him. 3 is Bye Bye Sky High. 2, Murder by the Book, and then 1 is Any Old Port.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, Any Old Port is really fun to watch, but it's flawed. This one is not flawed, but it's okay to watch.
Well, the fact that it's in the top 5. That's high, man. That's it's in the big leagues.
What's 6 through?
I have to agree with this.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Wait, what?
Okay. You want to hear the 10?
Yeah, I want.
So number 6. Okay, number 6 is Negative Reaction.
Okay.
With Dick Van Dyke, which is a really good one. I'd probably place that one a little closer to number 1 than 6, but the next one is Try and Catch Me.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 7. That was a really good one. Number 8, I don't know if I like this one that much, but An Exercise in Fatality.
Yeah, we didn't. We both thought that was sort of in the middle. Yeah. I don't know about that either.
Number 8, Troubled Waters.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what that. Have I seen that one?
That's the cruise ship one.
Oh yes. Okay. And seeing the final number 10 is the one you brought up earlier, Suitable for Framing.
Yeah. I think Suitable for Framing should be farther up that list, but just saying.
Okay. Interesting. So I agree that I think this is definitely in the top 5. Not top, I mean, we can say top 10, but definitely is one of my favorites. And what did I say? 91,601. I'd give it I think a nice solid 91,000. But this one, 91,000. I think is a nice solid number. I really enjoyed Leonard Nimoy in this. I thought he was a great villain. He has that kind of a dry delivery, as what made him popular with the character Spock in Star Trek. But he has kind of that sociopath kind of feel to him. I felt really sorry for the boyfriend Harry Alexander, Heidelman. I thought he sounded like the voice of Santa Claus on the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer claymation special. I don't know if that's the same guy or not, but But I really enjoyed the characters. I thought it was really clever. I learned something about sutures. I just enjoyed it. This isn't. I know. Shut up. But I thought it was a good episode. It's enjoyable. It's not. This is not the first time I've seen this episode. When I watched this a long time ago. I think after you got me the box set was one of the first ones I watched. I enjoyed it today. Like, I was not bored with it. I enjoyed it immensely. So, I rank it up there as one of my favorites.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and apparently, one of the things I did want to bring up. I liked that when Columbo, whenever he was talking to a doctor, he'd call them Doc.
Oh, really?
Like, listen, Doc, or he would just say Doc as short, and it reminded me of Bugs Bunny. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Well, if I would have thought of that, I would have probably rated it higher, Steve.
And apparently, orthodontists, I hear they're really kind of cleaning it up. So, if I could have gone back to medical school, I would have done that.
Do you know how many times I say that as a lawyer? I wish I was a dentist instead. You have to deal with the fucking shit. Anyway,
what was the one we watched that was with the dentist? What was that? That was
we were just talking. Uneasy Lies the Crown. That was like 3 episodes ago for us.
That's that. Uneasy Lies the Crown. Yes, because they're cleaning up.
Somebody left us feedback there on the old app. Nobody has left us any bad feedback again yet. Don't do that. Don't leave bad feedback. I mean, you can leave like plenty of stars and say mean things, but this is from.
No, I don't want. I'd rather them leave 4 or 5 stars, but if they want to say something, email us because it's more entertaining.
Yeah, we didn't get any emails, so this is going to be really quick.
Because we get to talk about it.
Yeah. So wait, actually, no. There is another question that I have. Somebody sent me something on Twitter, but. This is from 101 Crazy One. That's their little screen name there on the Apple Podcast app. He says, "Very good," he or she. "Love it. An absolute joy to listen to. Too much? Say goodnight, Steve. That was supposed to be funny. Sorry, guys. Really enjoy it, and you are great to listen to."
What does that mean?
Say goodnight, Steve?
Oh,
That's what I basically have to say to you every single time we end this, so that you can say goodbye, and I know how to. Anyway. Okay.
Oh, I thought it was Jack Burns and what was his wife's name?
That's Gracie. Gracie. That's where it originally came from, but yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's yeah.
All right. So I do want to share
Burns
something.
and Gracie. Yeah.
Let's see. So I want to talk about something that Nerd Tech on Twitter sent me a DM and asked a question. And he asked, "Do you think Robert Culp and Patrick McGoohan could have swapped out as murderers in the respective roles as murderers that they portrayed pretty easily?" Wait, no, that came out wrong the way. Do you think that they could have been swapped as characters? Play different.
I figured. Yeah, that's what you meant. I want to say no, but I can't back that up.
I agree with you. Because McGoohan doesn't lose his temper.
What makes a good... That's true. McGoohan does. Yeah, Culp does. And that's always the best part when he loses his shit with Columbo. Their delivery is totally different. I don't know. That would take some thought, but I don't know.
You know what though? I would love to take one of the Culp episodes, move Culp to a different episode, and have Leonard Nimoy play a Culp character. Even though Robert Culp was excellent in Double Exposure, and I have to say that name very carefully because I always forget it, I think that Nimoy would have been a great person to play Dr. Bart Keppel. Can you see that?
Yeah, good.
You don't.
But would you put Nimoy back in as a doctor though? I would want to see him play a completely different kind of character. Even though that's the best thing about McGowan and Culp is they basically play themselves. I would assume.
Yeah. I would. Wait, what was the question?
If you could swap, could you put Robert Culp in a McGowan episode and vice versa? That's how I took it.
I can't put Culp in any McGowan episode. They're aren't they kind of the same character though in Identity Crisis and Death Lends a Hand? They're both, there's a private investigator and a spy.
Yeah.
But
I guess you could in that. Yeah, in that one. I don't know.
That is a fun game though. Switch out your murderers. Switch this one for that one, and see what you could do. I would. Yeah. Okay. All right. That actually opened up my mind to something new. We could, after we're done reviewing all 69 plus of these, maybe we can do these extra episodes. Other podcasters would do them on Patreon, but fuck Patreon. Maybe we can make lists or something. I don't know. But Steve, I think it's about that time. I think it's time for you to spin the Wiggin wheel of the 90s, and there's only 6 left.
We're back to the 90s.
We're back to... Oh, you like the last ones.
I have been. Admittedly, I've been enjoying the 90s more
All
than
right.
I thought I would.
Let's see if it's the one here that I know that is good. Okay.
Can I spin it with my foot instead of my hand?
Absolutely. Spin it with your foot.
Let me raise my leg up into the air, and here we go.
The time has come, my friend, to talk about Rest in Peace, Mrs. Columbo.
Oh, she's been dead for years already. Yeah, I've actually seen this one already.
You have not seen
my point with you.
Are you serious? You saw it already?
Because I wanted to prove my point with you in another podcast and another recording of this podcast. And,
I was so excited.
And so I thought this would give me the proof I needed. Yeah.
What do you remember about this episode?
I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to save it.
Okay, I know the only person I know of note in it, the lady who plays the murderer. I don't even know who she is. I don't remember her name, which is sad. But I know Ian McShane is in it, in a small part. But yeah, rest in peace, Mrs. Columbo.
And I gotta say, in this top 10, by the way, that I just read off, did you notice none of them are the later episodes?
Did he list them all in order from 1 through 69?
No, it's just the top 10. So
okay,
in the top 10, there's not. It's all suitable for framing. I think that's season 2. Is that right?
That's the first season.
Is it the first season?
Yeah.
Trouble the Waters. That's got to be
later
season
on,
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Exercise and Fatality. That's got to be a 2 or 3 or 1 or 2.
It's 2 or 3. I don't know which. It's not 1.
Try and Catch Me. That's definitely a 2.
No. Try and Catch Me is like later. That's like one of the last 5.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive about that. Positive.
Negative Reaction. What season is that?
Somewhere in the middle, probably.
Yeah. A Stitch in Time, obviously. That we just talked about season 2. Now You See Him.
I think that's 3.
Is it 3?
I'm not sure.
Bye Bye Sky High.
That's later on too, just like Try and Catch Me. That's what's really cool about it is that they're peppered all over the place.
Yeah, but it's none of the 90s stuff.
I saw the poll that he put up, and I think maybe it was only for the classic episodes, which might be a little bit unfair. But hold on. Because I really kind of want to see, because we did this with Doctor Who. Like remember the time that we looked at the list, and like for 5 weeks or 3 months or whatever, we just did the bottom 5 Doctor Who episodes of all 5. Yeah. I'm really curious to see what the bottom 5 would be. but I don't want to go on my internet right now
device.
because I'm running my recording software.
Well, we'll do our own. I think when we've done a final review, we should do what's our top 5 or our least favorite 5.
Yeah, I agree.
What's
I agree.
our favorite Robert Culp ones or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, with that, I guess we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen, with Rest in Peace, Mrs. Columbo. I haven't seen it in a long time. Looking forward to watching it again, maybe.
Never existed.
We'll see. With that, say goodnight, Steve.
Good night, Steve.
Thank you for listening to the Columbo Confab podcast. To email us with a comment or question, write to columboconfab@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @columboconfab, and look for us on Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us some happy reviews on iTunes.
I love clues.
Hello, I'm Sean, and I'm the host of the 1001 Movies podcast, based on the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Each episode, I randomly pick a film from the book and spend about 10 minutes talking about its director, the cast, the genre, and my personal thoughts on the merits of the film. Each delicious yet bite-sized episode contains information about a film from practically any genre, any country, or any year. Check us out on iTunes, and we'll send you free cookies.